A good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Here are today's headlines. Crucial salary negotiations between WASA and the PSA are set to wrap up today, according to Public Utilities Minister Barry Padarath. I hope you ain't going there to chain up people here, you know. Make a proper deal, or at least mediate to ensure a proper deal is made. All right, because we don't want the protesting to start back. All right, there's so much of controversy with this government already. Don't let us be another one, please. Come on. And Felicia Thomas is doing a very good job standing up for her members. Very good job. Meanwhile, Jamaica's Education Minister, Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, is signaling plans for new schools along the North Coast to manage rapidly growing student populations in St. Anne and Trelawney. And internationally, President Donald Trump has declared an economic D-Day. After the deal, always trying to use diplomacy. You can't negotiate with terrorist Trump. D-Day against Iran, threatening severe secondary sanctions like they care about sanctions. While Tehran responds by slamming the escalated tactics as economic terrorism. Terrorists like the Ayatollah and IRGC accusing America of terrorism, you know. And the tribals here in Trinidad and Tobago will say, amen, because they love the Iranians. You know. The Ayatollah murdered more than 40,000 of their own citizens during this year. And you know what people just say? Well, that happens in all countries. Why? Because they despise America and Israel. They condemn America and Israel for engaging in war with terrorists. But the terrorists who are massacring their own, they have nothing to say about them. Details in the news up next. Salary negotiations between WASA and PSA are on schedule to wrap up by later today, according to Public Utilities Minister Barry Padarath. Speaking on Wednesday while distributing book grants at his Couva South constituency office, Minister Padarath expressed satisfaction with the progress made following discussions with WASA acting CEO Dane Maraj, PSA President Felicia Thomas, doing a wonderful job, and union executives. She is doing a wonderful job. Padarath, he does a reasonably good job, but kind of he's messing up a bit as well. He noted that after visiting WASA headquarters on Monday to ensure the talks moved quickly without sacrificing thoroughness, and negotiations are now far advanced, putting both parties firmly on track to meet the agreed upon cutoff. Yeah, but it should have never reached to this in the first place. Padarath, you should have intervened long before this. Once WASA and the union finalize their agreement, the documentation, including cost outlines and final details, will move through several key state oversight bodies. The paperwork will go to the Ministry of Public Utilities for review before advancing to the Chief Personnel Officer, the Ministry of Finance, and other relevant agencies for final processing. Addressing prior concerns raised by the PSA regarding attempts to escalate negotiations before settling basic terms, Padarath reassured stakeholders that the priority remains reaching a firm agreement at the authority level first. He added that ongoing positive dialogue with union leadership continues to strengthen working relations, with full details expected to be made public when the agreement is formally handed over to the ministry on Friday. This should have never taken so long. And it should have, as I said before, it should have never reached a stage where the PSA had to be protesting on behalf of WASA. And the WASA workers, of course, protesting. It should have never reached this stage.
Trinidad and Tobago weather report for Friday, August 21, 2026. Friday, August 21, 2026 in Trinidad and Tobago will bring variably cloudy and breezy conditions with maximum daytime temperatures reaching around 31 degrees Celsius to 33 degrees Celsius and dipping to an overnight low of 24 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius. The day features periods of sunshine interrupted by scattered showers according to the official Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service outlook. There remains a low 20% to 30% chance of a localized heavy shower or afternoon thunderstorm primarily favoring western parts of Trinidad and hilly areas. In the event of a heavy downpour, gusty winds and brief street flooding are possible. Breezy conditions are expected out of the east to northeast to east to southeast at speeds of 15 to 35 kilometers per hour. Seas will remain slight to moderate in open waters with waves near 1.5 meters and below 1.0 meter in sheltered areas.
Regional news now. Jamaica's Minister of Education, Skills, Youth and Information, Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, says available data indicate that the Region 3 Educational Division requires additional schools as changing population patterns continue to drive demand for student placements, particularly along the North Coast. People probably leaving areas that were totally destroyed by the hurricane. Who knows, huh? Who knows? Could be crime as well. She highlighted the rapid population growth in St. Anne and Trelawney, noting that the corresponding rise in student members could require additional schools to accommodate future demand. Addressing local education stakeholders, the minister emphasized that ongoing demographic shifts necessitate strategic, long-term infrastructure planning to ensure adequate classroom space for expanding communities. You can't leave them abandoned. To address these growing pressures, the ministry is currently reviewing regional enrollment figures and facility capacities to guide future capital investments in school development. Officials aim to prioritize high-growth corridors along the North Coast to ensure children have access to quality learning environments close to home. They would not be spending a whole set of money to be able to travel to go far away from where you're living. Anyhow, unless you really choose to do that because of the type of school that you're going to attend. You know, if you pass for a good school, you're at the front. In tandem with potential new construction, the ministry is assessing existing infrastructure across the division to identify immediate upgrades, expand current school buildings where feasible, and optimize space utilization to balance student density across Region 3. International news now. President Trump has announced what he characterizes as an economic D-Day, targeting Iran, issuing a firm warning to foreign nations that offer financial backing to Tehran. You are wasting time and playing games with other nations. What you're doing is total and utter nonsense, Trump. Finish the job. You cannot negotiate with terrorists like the Ayatollah and IRGC. They only know one language, and that is war. The administration signaled that entities assisting the Iranian government could face severe secondary sanctions and economic consequences designed to choke off funding to the regime. Yeah, but how much sanctions you could place on different countries, Trump? You just say, well, isolate America from the whole world? Gosh, but you don't understand. What you're doing is total and utter nonsense, and you're just putting more and more pressure on the Iranian people themselves, the Persian people who want to be liberated from this demonic regime, this demonic Ayatollah regime. The Iranian people want to be delivered from them, and all you're doing is studying to put more sanctions to make life harder for them. Trump, boy, the art of the deal, conservatives really need to tell you your art with this particular deal is total tata. That is what it is, tata. Emphasizing the success of current pressure tactics. No, there's no success, Trump. There's no success. You're talking tata. Trump noted that the U.S. naval presence in the region has proven highly effective. Yeah, you're preventing them from escalating any sort of violence. But you haven't done anything to benefit the citizens of Iran or to actually resolve the issue, Trump. Anyhow, so emphasizing the success of current pressure tactics, Trump noted that the U.S. naval presence in the region has proven highly effective. My foot. While reassuring global markets that the strategic Strait of Hormuz remains open to commercial vessel traffic. In response, Iran's foreign minister strongly condemned the administration's escalated rhetoric. People are calling for the total destruction of America and Israel. You know. Little Satan is Israel, big Satan is Israel, America. And these people boldly and publicly declared that one day they will destroy both America and Israel, and they want to be talking about people being extreme. Miss me with that, yes? So in response, Iran's foreign minister strongly condemned the U.S. administration has escalated rhetoric, labeling the aggressive sanctions strategy as a form of economic terrorism. No, that's funny. That's funny. Tehran accused Washington of utilizing foreign policy threats to deflect attention from domestic U.S. economic challenges. No, America is actually doing quite well recently. Despite the sharp exchange, the Trump administration maintains that robust financial pressure and strong maritime enforcement remain the most direct path to countering Iranian aggression and protecting international shipping lanes. No, it isn't. All you're delaying is the inevitable, which is that Iran at some point in time will try to attack Israel again, and who knows? While you're placing all this pressure on them, whatever little money that they're generating, they will use it to build a nuke. That is all they're going to do, behind your back. Behind your back. Unless you have a way to spy on the whole country, because Iran is a large country. So all you're doing is just playing games with terrorists, and that never works. That never, ever works. But I'm telling you, Trump and all those individuals around him are blinded by the spirit of the Antichrist. And what the thing about it is, so then what was his sense of waging war in the first place? What was his sense? Now you're trying to use diplomacy. Diplomacy. You started off by starting a good job. Right? You started off really good. Now you're trying to use diplomacy. Was this best? You just use sanctions from the very beginning and leave Israel to attack Iran on their own whenever Iran attacks them? You're playing foolish games with terrorists. You cannot negotiate with those kind of radical jihadists, Trump. You just can't. Top Republican Senator Rick Scott responded to Turkey's ambassador to the U.S. who claimed that Turkish forces in Syria were unaware that Israeli fighter jets were on the way. Yeah, you're unaware. I mean, you're unaware. You're probably really underwear. Anyhow, clearly Israel warned Turkey in advance, and Ankara chose to ignore it. Exactly. Once again, the jihadists and them, these radical jihadist extremists, they blatantly lie, just like our PNM lying and even UNC lying. But oh gosh, boy. But anyhow, that's a different level of lies. Israel has the right and obligation to defend itself from threats. He went on to say, wonderful to hear him say that. Right about now, there's so many QAnon, far-right, Russian Orthodox, anti-Zionists in the Republican Party that is disturbing to see. We expect that from the left, but not from the right. I've been warning about it for years now, because the QAnon Russian Orthodox movement has been growing rapidly amongst the conservative populations. So clearly Israel warned Turkey in advance, and Ankara chose to ignore it. Israel has the right and obligation to defend itself from threats. Turkey needs to stop playing games, stop fighting terrorists. Well, I guess he probably meant stop supporting terrorists or funding terrorists. They're not fighting terrorists. Anyhow, and start behaving like NATO, like a NATO ally. That it pretends to be, they pretend to be a NATO ally. Yeah, that's what they really need to do. They need to do it. But of course, once again, it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. And I will tell Rick Scott to read Ezekiel 38. From what I have heard, Turkey is one of the countries that will be ganging up with Russia and Iran in order to invade Israel in the future. God knows the plan, and of course he sees and knows all things. So he's going to set them up, put a hook in Russia's jaw, and lead him towards, bring him towards. Now, of course, it's a figurative hook, but what I'm saying is still, you're going to set a trap for them. Encourage them to come, you know? Yeah, put certain baits for them. And then when they reach to Israel's border, that's it. Utterly destroy them, utterly defeat Israel's enemies. And in the end, Romans 11, all Israel will be saved.
Psalm 39, 1-4. I said to myself, I will watch my ways and keep my tongue from sin. I will put a muzzle on my mouth as long as the wicked are in my presence. So I remained utterly silent, not even speaking of good things, but my anguish increased. My heart grew hot within me. While I meditated, the fire burned, and then I spoke with my tongue. Show me, Lord, my life's end in the number of my days. Let me know how fleeting my life is.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.